The desperate gambit. The vastness of space offered no comfort to Captain Elena Reyes as she stared at the tactical display aboard the HSS Defiance. 12 Voidorn dreadnoughts hung in high orbit around Earth like obsidian knives suspended above humanity's throat. The Defiance, along with the remaining 7 ships of Earth's defense fleet, was humanity's last line of defense against extinction. Status report, Elena demanded, her voice steady despite the weight pressing down on her shoulders. Commander Takashi Yamamoto, her XO, looked up from his console. Not good, Captain. The Voidorn have positioned their fleet to maximize planetary bombardment coverage. Their energy signatures indicate weapons charging. Intelligence estimates we have less than 6 hours before they begin the assault. Helena nodded grimly. The Voidborn Empire had steamrolled through human space over the past 18 months, their technology so advanced it bordered on magical. Humanity's most sophisticated weapons barely scratched their armor, while their graviton beams sliced through Earth's best ships like they were made of paper. "And Project Fool's Cap?" she asked, referring to Earth's last-ditch weapon development. Takashi's expression shifted subtly. Dr. Akono reports they're ready for deployment. Alina didn't miss the hesitation in his voice. "You still think it's ridiculous?" "With all due respect, Captain, we're facing an enemy with technology centuries beyond ours, and our answer is that." Takashi gestured toward the cargo bay where technicians were making final preparations. "That's exactly why it might work," Alina replied. "The Voidborn have counters for every conventional weapon we've thrown at them. They've never seen anything like this." The ship's comms chirped. "Captain, incoming transmission from Admiral Chen at Earth Command." Admiral Chen's weathered face appeared on screen, the deep lines around her eyes testament to sleepless nights. "Captain Ray's status of Fool's Cap. Ready for deployment, Admirals. Good, the Security Council has given final approval. You have authorization to proceed." Elena nodded solemnly. "Understood, Admiral." Elena Chen's formal tone softened. "I know how this looks on paper. Half my staff think we've lost our minds, but conventional thinking got us into this mess. Maybe unconventional thinking will get us out." "That's what I'm counting on, Admirals." As the transmission ended, Elena turned to her crew. "Battle stations, all hands prepare for combat maneuvers." The Defiance hummed with activity as crew members rushed to their positions. In the cargo bay, Dr. Adebio Okonkwo supervised as technicians made final adjustments to what looked like oversized metal canisters. "Will it work, Doctor?" Elena asked as she entered the bay. The Nigerian physicist looked up, his intelligent eyes reflecting both doubt and hope. "In theory, yes. In practice," he shrugged. "We've never had the opportunity to test it against Voidorn technology, but the principles are sound." Elena studied the canisters. Each contained thousands of what appeared to be simple metal spheres, each no larger than a marble. "They look so ordinary." "That's the beauty of it," Adebio said with a hint of pride. "Sometimes the simplest solutions are the most elegant." "And the most overlooked," Elena added. Adebio nodded. The Voidorn rely on incredibly advanced shielding technology, energy weapons, kinetic projectiles, even our most sophisticated electronic warfare. Their defensive systems have adapted to all of it, but these— he picked up one of the small metal spheres. "These are based on principles so fundamental and frankly so primitive that their advanced systems might not recognize them as threats at all." Elena took the sphere, rolling it between her fingers. It felt surprisingly warm. "Hard to believe our survival depends on something so small." "Size isn't everything, Captain," Adebio said with a wry smile, "and neither is complexity." The ship's intercom interrupted them. "Captain, to the bridge, Voidborn fleet is on the move." Elena handed the sphere back to Adebio. "It's time, Doctor, ready or not." On the bridge, the tactical display showed the Void dreadnoughts rearranging their formation, preparing for the final assault on Earth. "They're moving into bombardment positions," Takashi reported. "Estimated time to weapons range, 20 minutes. Elena took her command chair, her decision already made. "All ships, this is Captain Ray's, form up on the Defiance. We're making our stand." Earth's remaining 7 warships moved into position around the Defiance, a pitifully small force against the looming Voidborn armada. "Open a channel to the Voidborn fleet," Elena ordered. A moment later, the main view screen flickered to life, revealing the alien visage of Fleet Commander Xerax. The Voidborn commander's translucent skin revealed pulsing organs beneath. Four eyes blinked independently, and tendrils framed a mouth filled with needle-like teeth. Human vessel, Xerax's voice reverberated through the bridge, translated by the ship's computer. Your resistance is noted but irrelevant. Surrender now, and we will allow your species to survive as servants of the Empire. Alina stood facing the alien commander. This is Captain Alina Reyes of Earth Defense Force. We reject your terms. We propose an alternative: retreat from Earth space immediately or face the consequences. A sound like grinding stones emanated from the view screen. Voidorn laughter. With what weapons, human? Your technology is primitive, your defense is inadequate, your extinction is inevitable. Perhaps, Alina conceded, but you might find humanity has a few surprises left. The transmission cut off abruptly. They're jamming communications, reported Lieutenant Santos from the comm station. Voidorn vessels accelerating, Takashi added. They're moving to engage. Alina took a deep breath. Deploy Fool's Cap. Throughout the small human fleet, cargo bay doors slid open. Hundreds of canisters were ejected into space, propelled toward the advancing Void Armada. Canisters away, Dr. Okonko reported from the science station where he'd taken position. Dispersal in 30 seconds. On the tactical display, the canisters appeared as tiny dots moving toward the massive Voidorn vessels. Several exploded as they encountered the outer perimeter of Voidorn defenses, releasing clouds of the small metal spheres. Spheres deployed and active, Adabio confirmed. Energy signature nominal. The bridge crew watched in tense silence as the clouds of tiny spheres drifted toward the Voidorn ships, seemingly harmless against the massive alien vessels. They're not even targeting them, Takashi observed. Their point defense systems aren't registering the spheres as threats. Alina nodded, just as we hoped. The first of the metal spheres made contact with the laid Void Dreadnought. For a moment, nothing happened. Then sensors detected a minute power fluctuation in the alien vessel. It's working, Adabio whispered, eyes fixed on his readouts. The spheres are attaching to their hull and beginning absorption. More and more spheres made contact with the Voidborn ships. Small energy fluctuations multiplied across the alien fleet. They're noticing something's wrong, Takashi reported. Voidborn vessels are increasing power to shields. Too late, Adabio said with growing excitement. The reaction is self-sustaining now, they can't stop it. Alina watched as the tactical display showed the spheres multiplying across the surfaces of the Voidborn ships, drawing power from the alien vessels themselves. Incoming transmission from the Voidorn command ship, Lieutenant Santos announced. Fleet Commander Xerax's face appeared again on screen, the alien's composure noticeably disturbed. What have you done, human? What are these devices? Alina allowed herself a small smile. We call them energy leeches, Commander, quite primitive by your standards, I'm sure. They're based on principles my species discovered centuries ago. The Void Commander's tendrils writhed in agitation. Our sensors detect no advanced technology, these are merely metal objects. Precisely, Alina replied. Each sphere contains a specially engineered crystalline structure that resonates with and absorbs energy at the exact frequency your shields and weapons operate on. The more power you feed them, the faster they multiply and the more energy they drain. Impossible, you cannot defeat our technology with such simplicity. That's where you're wrong, Alina said. Sometimes the simplest solution is the most effective, especially against an enemy that has grown arrogant in their technological superiority. On the tactical display, the energy signatures of the Void vessels were visibly diminishing as thousands of tiny spheres covered their hulls, draining power and replicating themselves using the alien's own energy. You still have a choice, Commander, Alina continued. Withdraw from Earth space now while you still have enough power to escape, or stay and be completely disabled. The Voidborn commander's four eyes blinked rapidly in what Alina assumed was their version of shock or disbelief. This is not over, human, he snarled before the transmission cut off. Voidborn fleet is powering engines, Takashi reported, unable to keep the astonishment from his voice. They're retreating. A cheer erupted on the bridge, quickly silenced by Alina's raised hand. They're withdrawing to regroup and analyze our weapon, she cautioned. This isn't victory yet, but it's a start. As the massive alien vessels limped away from Earth, Their hulls glittering with thousands of tiny metal spheres, Elena allowed herself a moment of guarded hope. Humanity had bought itself precious time with the most unlikely of weapons, not through overwhelming force or technological sophistication, but through basic principles applied in ways their advanced enemy had never considered. Sometimes, she murmured, the stupidest-looking solution is the smartest move of all. The laughable victory. Admiral Xerax's tendrils twitched with fury as he watched his mighty dreadnought fleet limp away from the insignificant blue planet. The bridge of his command vessel, once a gleaming testament to Voidorn technological supremacy, now operated on emergency power only. Explain this humiliation, he demanded of Chief Engineer Vexter, his four eyes blinking in furious sequence. The engineer's exoskeleton clicked nervously as she displayed holographic data. The human weapons are primitively ingenious, Fleet Commander. Each sphere contains a crystalline lattice that vibrates at precisely the resonant frequency of our shield harmonics. When our shields encountered them instead of repelling the spheres, they created a feedback loop that allowed the spheres to draw power directly from our systems. Primitive technology defeating the Empire's finest vessels, Xerax's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. Impossible. Not impossible, merely unexpected, Vexter replied cautiously. Our defenses are designed to counter advanced energy weapons, kinetic projectiles, and computational warfare. These spheres operate on basic principles of sympathetic resonance, technology so elementary that our systems categorize them as debris, not weapons. A junior officer approached hesitantly. Fleet Commander, we're receiving a transmission from the human flagship. Display it, Xerax ordered, his pride wounded but his curiosity piqued. Captain Elena Reyes appeared on screen, her expression carefully neutral. Fleet Commander Xerax, I trust you've had time to assess your situation. Xerax's tendrils writhed. Your primitive trick has gained you temporary advantage, human, nothing more. A trick that disabled 12 Imperial dreadnoughts without destroying a single human vessel, Elena countered. I call that significant, but I'm not contacting you to gloat. I'm offering terms. The Voidborn Empire does not negotiate with lesser species, Xerax spat reflexively. Elena's expression remained unchanged. Then perhaps the Empire would prefer we share our primitive trick with the other species you've subjugated. I understand the Arcturan Confederation would be particularly interested. Silence fell over the Voidorn bridge. The threat was clear. If word spread that the mighty Voidborn could be defeated by such simple technology, rebellions would erupt throughout their conquered territories. What terms do you propose? Xerax finally asked, his voice tight with suppressed rage. Simple, the Voidborn Empire will recognize Earth and all human colonies as sovereign territory. A demilitarized zone will be established between our borders, and you will provide reparations for the human worlds you've destroyed. You dare dictate terms to the Empire? Elena's eyes hardened. Those spheres attached to your ships, they're still active, still replicating. In approximately 6 hours, they'll have completely infiltrated your power systems. Without emergency intervention, your life support systems will fail shortly after. So yes, Commander, I dare. Back on the Defiance, Elena ended the transmission and turned to her crew. Opinions. They'll stall for time, Takashi said immediately. Try to find a countermeasure. Dr. Okonkwo nodded in agreement. The Voidorn are arrogant but not stupid. They'll be analyzing the spheres, looking for weaknesses. Let them try, Elena replied. The beauty of Fool's Cap is its simplicity. There's no complex programming to hack, no sophisticated electronics to disrupt, just basic physics principles working exactly as they should. They could simply abandon their ships, Lieutenant Santos suggested. Transfer to vessels unaffected by the spheres. Possible, Elena conceded. But the Voidborn place enormous cultural value on their dreadnoughts. Each represents centuries of technological development and serves as a symbol of their superiority. Abandoning them would be a profound humiliation. The tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Park, spoke up. Captain, we're detecting communication bursts between the Voidborn fleet and what appear to be observer vessels from other species. Elena raised an eyebrow. News travels fast. Word of a Voidorn defeat would spread rapidly through the galaxy, Takashi noted. Especially a defeat by humans whom they've publicly dismissed as primitive. Good, Elena said firmly. Let the galaxy see that humanity isn't to be underestimated. Hours passed as the standoff continued. Earth's defense fleet maintained position, ready to deploy more energy leeches if necessary. The Voidborne dreadnoughts hung in space, their once imposing silhouettes now dulled as power systems faltered. Admiral Chen called from Earth Command. The Security Council is divided, Captain. Some want to press our advantage and demand unconditional surrender. Others fear retaliation once the Voidborne recover. With respect, Admiral, both approaches miss the point, Alina replied. This isn't about defeating the Voidborn or extracting maximum concessions. It's about establishing humanity as a species to be respected, not conquered. Chen nodded slowly. Make it happen, Captain. The expected countermove from the Voidborn came not as a technological solution, but as a diplomatic one. A small shuttle emerged from the command dreadnought, requesting permission to dock with the Defiance. Subcommander Nixel, Z-Rex's second-in-command, stepped onto the Defiance with obvious distaste. The Voidborn diplomat towered over the humans, his translucent skin revealing the rapid pulsing of internal organs, a sign of stress in their species. Captain Reyes, Nixel began formally, I am authorized to negotiate terms of mutual disengagement. Alina noted the careful avoidance of words like surrender or defeat. I'm listening. The negotiations lasted hours, with Nixel attempting to preserve Voidborn pride while Alina remained firmly focused on securing humanity's future. By the time they concluded, word had spread throughout nearby systems of the unprecedented event. Human primitives had stopped the Voidborn advance with technology so basic it seemed absurd. Representatives from a dozen species requested permission to send observers to Earth, eager to meet the humans who had accomplished what their own advanced civilizations could not. 3 days later, the Alina stood in Earth's orbital diplomatic center as the treaty was formalized. Fleet Commander Zirak, his pride visibly wounded but his pragmatism intact, affixed the imperial seal to the agreement. You realize, he said quietly to Alina, that we will study these spheres exhaustively. We will develop countermeasures. Of course you will, Alina replied. And we'll develop new applications. That's the difference between our species, Commander. You believe technological superiority makes you invincible. We know better. We've spent our history being outgunned, outmatched, and finding ways to survive anyway. Z-Rex's upper eyes narrowed. You think your primitive ingenuity makes you our equals. No, Alina said with unexpected gentleness. I think it makes us different, and the galaxy needs diversity of thought as much as diversity of species. As the Voidorn delegation departed, Dr. Okonkwo joined Alina at the observation window. The Arcturan ambassador wants to discuss cultural exchange, he said with amusement. I think that's diplomat speak for please share your sphere technology. Alina smiled. What do you think, Doctor? Should we share our ridiculous weapon that shocked the galaxy? Eddie Bayo considered this. The principles aren't secret, any physicist could understand them, but the application, he shook his head in wonder. Sometimes it takes human perspective to see the simple solution hidden in plain sight. In the days that followed, Earth's status in the galactic community transformed. Once dismissed as a backwater world of primitive beings, humanity was now viewed with a mixture of curiosity, respect, and wariness. Other species that had suffered under void expansion sought alliances, eager to benefit from human ingenuity. Admiral Chen found Alina in the Defiance's observation lounge, staring at the stars. The Security Council has approved your promotion, Chen said without preamble. They're creating the new diplomatic fleet, you'll command it. Alina raised an eyebrow, diplomatic, not military. Both, Chen clarified. The galaxy has seen what we can do when threatened, now they need to see what we can offer as allies. She handed Alina a data pad. Your first mission, a goodwill tour of the systems bordering Voyorn space. Alina scrolled through the mission parameters. They're calling it the Fool's Cap Doctrine, seriously. Chen actually smiled. The name has caught on, using simple solutions to counter overwhelming force. Several militaries are already incorporating it into their curricula. It wasn't just the technology, Alina said thoughtfully. It was understanding the psychology of our opponent. The Voidborn were so convinced of their superiority that they couldn't conceive of being defeated by something so basic. A lesson for us all, Chen noted. Never underestimate an opponent and never dismiss a solution because it seems too simple. As the Defiance prepared for its new mission, Alina made a final inspection of the cargo bay where thousands of energy leech spheres remained in storage. Takashi joined her. his earlier skepticism replaced by respect. Who would have thought, he mused, the most advanced empire in the galaxy brought to the negotiating table by what amounts to resonant metal marbles. Alina picked up one of the spheres, its surface catching the light. The Voidorn thought us primitive because our technology wasn't as advanced as theirs. They never considered that sometimes the most effective solution isn't the most sophisticated. She placed the sphere back in its container and sealed it. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology, Commander. It's our creativity, our ability to look at overwhelming odds and still find a way forward. As the Defiance departed Earth orbit, carrying humanity's representatives into a galaxy that now viewed them with newfound respect, Alina couldn't help but smile at the irony. The Voidborn had come to conquer a primitive species, only to be defeated by the very simplicity they had dismissed. It was perhaps the most human victory imaginable, winning not through superior force but through unexpected ingenuity. Sometimes the stupidest-looking weapon turned out to be the smartest solution of all.